Cowboys great Daryl Johnston of Fox Sports with us. We will not make you talk about the Pro Bowl. We'll talk about this Cowboys team. 12 wins, a playoff victory. What impressed you most about the way this team was able to turn it around and put together a pretty special year?
I think the way that the offense functioned to help the defense. We talk about complementary football, and that's exactly what they did when they worked together like that. The offensive line, the decision by Scott Linehan not to put so much burden on the shoulders of Tony Romo to carry the team offensively, to lean on that offensive line, DeMarco Murray in the running game, the success that they had. I knew that Rod Marinelli, once he became the defensive coordinator, would have the same impact that he had on the defensive line last season. And when we saw guys like Nick Hayden and these guys coming off the street and playing well, I knew that style would go throughout the entire defense, but they played even better than I thought they were going to be able to play. So I think that, you look at some of the areas of concern we had coming into the season, and one of the reasons I felt, I did not see this coming at all. I had them at 6-10 coming into the year. And I just thought that the new style of offense, the way it complemented what the defense did, you add to that, you have got a good punter, good kicker, special teams was solid, not exceptional, middle of the road there with Rick Gosselin's rankings today. So, all in all, I think it's a tremendous year. Now expectations change. And that's going to be the big challenge next year. Is a lot of people came into this year. I was 6-10. I'm sure you were probably somewhere
7-9.
like 7-9. Yeah. And now all of a sudden at 12-4, and this is going to be a completely different team next year.
It's going to feel like it used to feel at a training camp with the expectations. And Jason Garrett, if he has an advantage, it might be that he's been through that with this organization as a player. Talk about your friend and your longtime teammate and the kind of year he was able to put together, and how gratifying it was for you to watch that.
He's so consistent with what he does. He knows what his philosophy is. He sticks to his values. Jimmy Johnson always would tell us, we can't get on the emotional roller coaster up and down, try to have that steady incline through the course of the year, getting better and better. And I think that Jason models that perfectly. He's not on an emotional roller coaster. He's the same after a loss as he is after a win. He's on to the next page immediately, getting ready for the opponent. I thought he was outstanding with his management of the game this year. He's been criticized in the past. The 4th and 6 against Detroit in the wild card round is such a gutsy call. I'm at that game, and I'm not even going for it on 4th down when he hands the ball off to DeMarco Murray for the touchdown. And then when he does the 4th and 6 to really kind of seal that game, just outstanding. And if you go back through the course of the year, I think he was spot on with a lot of those decisions. He understood the makeup of his team. I thought his timing was fantastic. His messaging is spot on. And I'm so happy that the season turned out the way it did, because there were going to be teams, when you saw the vacancies in the coaches, right, if this hadn't gone that way and Jason Garrett was not going to be retained by the Dallas Cowboys, somebody was going to be very, very lucky to have him as their head coach.
Of course, the season ended in heartbreaking fashion in Green Bay, the catch that wasn't. You felt after the game that it was a catch, as most people did. Have you changed your mind there, and do you think this rule will be seriously reviewed, as it were, and possibly changed by the NFL this offseason?
Okay, there's possession, 3 steps, transition of the ball, reach for the goal line. That's the completion of the process, in my opinion. I don't know, and I've talked to Mike Pereira. I'm trying to find out why it was so definitive, because going into review, I thought, well, it's either going to stand as called because there's nothing definitive, and when it came back and it was reversed, I was very, very surprised. So I still don't have clarity on why it was so definitive that he had not completed the process of the catch. This is not the Calvin Johnson play in any way, shape, or form. If he does break the plane right there, it's a touchdown. Even with the same scenario as he goes to the ground, as long as that ball would have broken the plane of the touchdown, I think it's a touchdown at that point. So they've got to get some clarity in this situation, because right now it seems to me it sits like the Tuck rule. Because when Rod Woodson, or Charles Woodson, sacked Tom Brady that day, the majority of the people in the country felt that was a fumble. Yet by the letter of the rule, the way that they're talking about the play with Dez, by the letter of the rule, he didn't complete the process, it's incomplete. That night, it was by the letter of the rule, that's an incomplete pass, not a fumble. And it took us a long time to get to the point where we had clarity and everybody agreed with the way the play resulted. I hope we do it a lot quicker with the Dez play in the offseason.
Speaking of Dez, Jerry has that tough decision to make. Possibly, it's possible he could figure out a way to retain both with relatively long-term deals, but it looks as though he's going to have to franchise one and sign the other long-term. When you talk about Dez and DeMarco, put your GM hat on for me and tell me what decision you make there.
Des Bryant is somebody that every defensive coordinator that we talk to that plays the Dallas Cowboys is trying to figure out how to take out of the game. And this is not a knock on DeMarco Murray. He had a tremendous season. He's a great guy on top of that. He's one of my favorite players on the Cowboys. I spoke to him on the way back from Green Bay. I told him I hope he's here. But you have to have Des Bryant here. Des Bryant has already said he does not want the franchise tag, so I think the long-term deal has to go to Des. This is a passer-friendly league. He's a dominant player on the outside. He's the one person that really impacts what you do offensively because you have to account for him, and that's why they're able to run the ball effectively. If you're going to worry about Des and you're going to double him, that's going to leave you vulnerable with your other wide receivers and in the running game. So he really changes what a defense has to do. Now you try and figure out how to make it work with DeMarco, and you sit down and you have an honest conversation. What are your numbers you're thinking about right now? It has to be fair. This is the one opportunity that DeMarco's going to have where everything is on his side. He's going to only have one opportunity to contract like this the rest of his career. I hope he gets it done here and gets it done the right way that's fair to him. And I talked to him about a legacy. You've got 3 all-pro linemen. You've got a team that's committed to running the football. When you go somewhere else and you're shopping in the off-season, make sure you look at the big picture. What are the tax situations in the state and the city that you're going to live in? What is the offensive philosophy where you're going to be playing? How about the legacy of being in the Dallas Cowboy organization? And maybe the only person you don't surpass is Emmitt Smith, but you're in between Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett when it's all said and done on the franchise rushing record. That's a pretty nice feather in your cap as you retire.
Jerry might want to bring you into that room. Let's bring it back to the Super Bowl as we close here. New England and Seattle, Seahawks trying to repeat, Brady trying to win his 4th. Who do you like in this game?
I can't even cheer for anybody, and it's all selfish reasons. I don't want Seattle to win back-to-back because that brings them into our club. New England's won enough. They've already got 3 and 4 years like us, so I'm not a big fan of them. But I really think New England is the team to beat in this one. Seattle was playing great down the stretch in the regular season. They were not good against Carolina. They were lucky they played a team that turned the ball over. They got fortunate against Green Bay with a couple of big mistakes by Morgan Burnett not running that ball after the interception. Bostic on the onside kick. If I'm the New England Patriots, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to throw at Richard Sherman and make sure that elbow's okay. And I'm going to make Earl Thomas tackle LeGarrette Blount. He's got a separated shoulder from the NFC Championship game. I'm going to make their safety tackle LeGarrette Blount. And I want to see Richard Sherman. I was surprised that Green Bay did not go after him. I mean, he's out there holding his arm to his chest, and I would have just, I know what the game plan was coming in, but everything just changed for you. Make this guy tackle people.
So you'd rather pick both to lose, but you'll reluctantly pick New England. Daryl Johnston, always great talking football with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
good to
for
be here,
coming
Mike.
in.